We are at peak shopping season right now for the holidays, so we're going to go over some great gifts you can grab for the Xbox fan you know. If you saw our Nintendo list, we're going with the same logic right here. We're going to do multiple lists of top 5s. Everything we're going to be talking about is linked down below, along with a couple little extra options as well. So let's go. First, let's talk accessories for the Xbox One and One X. Again, we're going in rank, so starting at number 5 is something that's maybe a slightly simple accessory, but a really useful one, especially with the impending release of a next-gen system coming out. An external hard drive. External storage is getting more and more important for modern systems because as more games have been coming out and as larger as games have been getting, honestly, the base hard drive sizes in systems is just not quite enough. And this helps fix that issue by giving you the extra storage you need. Now, the reason why I say this is really important with next-gen systems coming out as well, though, is that Microsoft has heavily emphasized the fact that the next Xbox is going to be backwards compatible with everything we're seeing on the Xbox One. So if you want to maintain your library of favorite Xbox One games and just have an easier way of bringing them forward into the future, having them on an external device instead of just in the hard drive of your Xbox One is going to simplify that a lot. When it comes to options, there are a lot to choose from out there. Microsoft does have some officially branded external hard drives with Seagate, like this Gears 5 one right here. If you're willing to spend a little bit more money and get something a little fancier, you can also get a portable SSD, which is going to be even smaller and easier to bring around, and more importantly, improve loading speeds because SSDs are just a lot faster than hard drives. By the way, if you want more looks at things like the Duke controller and some of the other awesome products we're going to show off in today's video, make sure to follow me on Instagram at Kenson, where we'll be having all kinds of other cool pictures of this stuff. Now, at 4th place, something we're going to talk about a little bit later is controller options, but a really good accompaniment to those is a charging base. Now, by design, regular Xbox One controllers rely on AA batteries, which is fine, but a lot of people like the option of having a rechargeable battery instead. And in the past, Microsoft made options available where you just got a little battery replacement and you relied on a cable. Those were fine, but it was always kind of annoying to have to set up the cable, leaving it out. It didn't necessarily look clean in your setup. So something they began to do later that I really like are these official charge bases. There's two things that really make these things neat. First off, there's just the simplicity of how the charging system works. Whenever you're not playing a game, you just set the controller down on the charge base, it'll charge up the controller, and you're good to go. That way, as long as you remember between play sessions, you're always going to have a controller at full battery. The second really cool thing about these is that while they do have kind of standard options available and just like a plain black or a plain white, they also make them in a lot of special edition designs that match some of the fancier controllers out there. So if you know someone has one of the cooler designs, like say the Sport Red and Sport White, or even the Gears 5 controller, there are matching charge bases you can grab, which makes it not only a cool way to charge the controller, but turns it into this really nice looking display piece. At 3rd, we have a controller that's a little bit different. It's not actually a traditional controller, it's a keyboard. One of the things that Microsoft has done lately that's really great for the Xbox is add keyboard support, which has improved the gameplay experience for some titles by a lot. There's just certain games out there where a keyboard and mouse makes a lot more sense than a standard controller. While this support extends out to any keyboard and mouse that you'd like, the one I'm holding right here is the Razer Turret, which is designed specifically to be used with the Xbox One and has a lot of design decisions that just makes it a better match for a console than a standard PC design. Second off is the fact that it's designed to be really comfortable to use on your lap. You could use it on a traditional desk setup if you like, but the main purpose here is that it has a thicker base and a little padding on the bottom, so you can comfortably have it sitting on your legs. You can extend out the mouse pad to use the mouse. It just makes for a really nice couch setup, which is perfect for Xbox One. One other thing I really love about it, which is really minor, but I always appreciate, is the fact that the keyboard and mouse both connect to a single little USB dongle, so it only takes up one port on your Xbox One, saving the others for any other accessories you want to make use of. At 2nd place, the runner-up for best accessory gift is a slightly more traditional controller, but it's one that is a little more sentimental. If you know someone who's been playing Xbox ever since the original system, this is an amazing idea that was made by Hyperkin. The remade Duke controller. For those of you that know your history, the Duke is the original controller that shipped on the original Xbox, which was a gigantic design. It kind of pulled a few laughs from some people back in the day, but there are a lot of people also found that, surprisingly, it actually is a really comfortable controller, especially for people with larger hands. And to celebrate that history, Hyperkin worked with Xbox to make this official Duke-style controller for the Xbox One and One X. It plugs into those systems, it actually has a whole light-up effect on the center that is super cool looking, and it does have some light design changes that does make it work with the modern system setup, including little tiny bumper buttons on the top corners here if you don't want to use the black and white front-facing ones, and of course you still have the good old-fashioned triggers. It's not necessarily the absolute best performing controller out there, but just as something that's kind of this awesome blast from the past and very nostalgic design for anyone that grew up playing on the original Xbox, it's a great thing to add to your collection. And my number one choice for accessory gift on the Xbox probably isn't a huge surprise to anyone, but really it deserves that place: the Elite Series 2 controller. This is the updated version of Xbox's original Elite controller, which was a good controller. It's just that this one has the right kind of updates and changes that have made it a much better option. I'm not going to go over the full list of changes and features, but the main takeaways really is that it is a very comfortable controller, in large part thanks to this full wraparound rubberized grip. It is highly customizable with the ability to swap out the sticks, the D-pad, and a lot of stuff that you can do via software. And one updated feature to separate it from the original Elite, and really any Xbox One controller out there, is that it relies on an internal rechargeable battery instead of AA's. In fact, one kind of cool little add-on to that is that the carrying case it comes with even includes a way to use it as a charge base. So you can just keep the controller and all of its little attachments and accessories and goodies in one little package and plug that into a cable, charge the controller while it's all together. All of these features combined honestly make this, to me, the best controller on the market right now. Not just for the Xbox specifically, but just straight up the best controller. It's my go-to for Xbox, it's my go-to for PC, and one really good thing to note is that Xbox has already confirmed that this will work on their next generation system. So if you know someone is planning on upgrading once the new systems come out, this will still work for that, no problem. Now, of course, all this awesomeness does come at a bit of a cost. It is not the cheapest option out there. There are some other really good controller choices if you're not looking to break the bank, so I'll have some of those listed down below as well. But if you're just looking for the best of the best, this is it. Of course, one of the easiest kind of gifts to grab someone who loves games is more games. Now, there have been a lot of great releases earlier this year. Again, I'm going to rank by my top 5, which I'm sure a lot of people are going to have a lot of opinions about. But the point is, here are 5 great games you can grab for Xbox, ordered in really the order I like them in. Kicking things off in 5th place is the one Xbox One exclusive on this list. The big Microsoft release this year was, of course, Gears of War 5. Gears has been one of the biggest franchises under Xbox, and while 4 was a fun, good game, it didn't quite capture the full attention of the fan base, and 5 really brought it all back in. With numerous different multiplayer modes to choose from, and a great single-player story campaign that incorporated non-linear side quest exploration elements, it just ended up being this really great breath of fresh air into the series. All in all, it was a great addition. If you know someone who's an Xbox fan that has yet to pick this one up, it is a great choice as a gift this year. 4th place is one of my personal favorite games of this year, although I'm also a little biased because I really love this studio and I'm just always a big fan of RPGs, The Outer Worlds. Outer Worlds is what happens when you take a lot of industry veterans that are known for being associated with the Fallout franchise and they make a new game that is Fallout, but not actually called Fallout. Taking place in outer space instead of a post-apocalyptic world, while still keeping some little aspects and flavors from that. This is an FPS RPG that is a great mixture of not only Fallout mechanics, but also just a little bit of that kind of BioWare Mass Effect formula where you have a crew of characters and companions to talk to and work with. The overall tone of the game is also a little more slapstick silly compared to Fallout. It maybe has a bit more in common with Borderlands as far as the writing goes, but overall I think it does a great job of balancing all these different aspects to make it a very good surprise hit RPG for the end of the year. Whether you're looking to grab a gift for someone or something for yourself, I think this is a really good sleeper hit for this year. Don't let it pass you by. At 3rd place is one of the slightly older releases from this year, but one of the most popular games to come out and is a top contender for Game of the Year for a lot of people, Sekiro: Shadows Die Twice. This is the latest game from FromSoft and has a lot in common with that kind of general formula they've been using for a lot of their action games lately, where it has a lot in common with Dark Souls as far as the idea of very high difficulty, retackling challenges over and over again to learn from your mistakes, all that good stuff, but it does approach it from a slightly different way than a lot of the Dark Souls games had. Its overall pacing is a lot faster, and it's heavily focused on the idea of just really learning enemy patterns and learning just the right way to break open their defenses to get that one important strike in. It actually has a lot in common with some of the kind of classic stealth ninja games like Tenchu, but again, adds in a lot of the Dark Souls formula and mixes all into something that is familiar, but different enough to really stand on its own legs as something new and more unique. Again, this is a top contender for a lot of people when it comes to Game of the Year because of its focus on difficulty. It's not necessarily for everyone out there, but if you know someone who loves a good challenge, this is a great choice. Second place is the latest game to come out on this list, and it's one that I think a lot of people had a lot of reservations and fears about when it was in development, and we were really hoping it didn't suck when it finally came out, and thankfully, it is an amazing, fantastic game, and that is Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. Star Wars games have been a little bit of a mixed bag over the past couple of years. Not that they've necessarily been bad, but there's always been a little bit of extra baggage that people aren't necessarily fans of. Battlefront 2. But the point is, we finally have a great single-player Star Wars game after so long, with Fallen Order being this fantastic mixture of a lot of elements of different gameplay styles. Like Sekiro, it pulls a lot from the Dark Souls formula, but is made a much more approachable game in general. The difficulty curve can still be up there if you pick one of the higher settings, but in general, it's a lot easier and more accessible, and really does a great job of kind of easing you into how the combat works. It also pulls a lot of really cool exploration mechanics from games like Uncharted, and really the best way to describe Fallen Order is that gameplay-wise, it doesn't do anything super original, but it takes a lot of the best aspects from a lot of other games out there and gives it the Star Wars flavor that just comes together beautifully. And now, for my number one recommendation of a game to grab as a gift, and I cannot wait to see comments arguing which game should have actually gone in this place. I don't care. Number one for me, Resident Evil 2 Remake. I think when a lot of people hear the title remake in a game, they have this image of something where, oh, it's the same thing they released however many years ago, but they cleaned up the graphics and it just looks a little prettier. But no, this is a full-blown remake. Redone gameplay, redone storyline, obviously very different looking visuals, and it does an amazing job of balancing the kind of things that people loved from the original, borrowing just little bits and aspects that give you that kind of feeling of nostalgia, while updating all of it to work as a modern game. The game is worth multiple playthroughs by trying it as different characters who each come with slightly different things they find to discover and can use, and it also features a number of different other side modes you can play that add on to the total playtime. Again, there's going to be a lot of debates this year about Game of the Year, but as far as one of the best games you can grab on the Xbox for yourself or as a gift to someone else, I cannot recommend the Resident Evil 2 Remake enough. Now for everyone's favorite section, Miscellaneous, a mixture of just kind of other awesome cool accessories or products that are not necessarily for the Xbox specifically, but are Xbox adjacent. Kicking things off in 5th place is the ever so simple but effective gift choice of an Xbox Lite. So if you just know someone who is a big fan of Xbox and just needs a little bit of a way to show it off, this is a great, simple, straightforward option. We've used this exact one in our set many times. Most of our Xbox-centric videos, it shows up somewhere in the background. It's just a really cool piece to add to either someone's bedroom or to their gaming setup. It's just a great way to celebrate your love of Xbox. At 4th place is something that honestly I actually rank a little higher in my own head, but I know it's a little bit more of a specialized gift, so it's not for everyone out there. A trend that's been getting really big for collectibles in gaming is vinyls. That's right, not vinyl figures or little collectible characters. I am talking about an old school vinyl record. There have been a lot of these made for different popular video game soundtracks. The one I have right here is one of my personal favorites that is very heavily Xbox aligned, Cuphead. I love the music behind it, and the styling for it just seems even more appropriate on vinyl. And because it isn't exactly a super traditional thing to go out and buy a vinyl record of a game soundtrack, one of the cool things about it is that a lot of the ones that have been made have gone above and beyond when it comes to the actual make of the thing. Not only the style of the vinyl record itself, but the casings. There's just so much attention to detail to making the whole thing look like an awesome piece of a collection that honestly, there are people out there who collect these things and don't even own a player. I don't necessarily recommend going that route. You should absolutely own a player to go with these as well, but the point is, they're awesome. 3rd place is a tried and true option if you know someone who is really into games, but they're always on top of buying every single game as soon as it comes out. They have all the accessories they need. They're on top of it as far as the game experience goes, so you just want to find something at least somewhat related to it. You can never fail with an art book. This has been one of the longest established methods of kind of making some gaming adjacent material. Most huge, big AAA games that come out have some kind of book released, and oftentimes there's other anthology style type of stuff released that has things like behind the scenes commentary, history of the games. A great example right now is one of the biggest releases for Xbox exclusively this year is Gears 5, so they actually have a history book that came out along with the art book that I've got right here. Oops. They're just a really cool way of getting that little bit of extra insight of everything that goes into design. Seeing how the levels were crafted and put together, items, character designs, is just a really great glimpse at the behind the scenes of how it all comes together and makes a really great display option as well. Now obviously Gears 5 isn't the only game out there with an art book this year. There was a lot of big releases, so if you know someone who isn't necessarily a fan of Gears, but you know something they do love, chances are if it's a big name game, there's going to be an art book or some kind of coffee table book related to it out. We'll list a couple popular options down below. At second place, we have another accessory, but not one that's actually for the Xbox, but it makes sense. It all comes together. This is actually something we did a video on recently, the Jungle Cat controller from Razer. This is a controller made by Razer, meant to be used with Android phones. There are a few specific ones, however, that it actually works even better with because it comes with cases that you can affix the controllers to and effectively turns them into a little portable Switch. Now the reason why I bring this up for Xbox is actually because of a video we did recently where Xbox Game Cloud has been getting more and more games added. It's getting easier to enter the preview, and so anyone you know who has access to xCloud or is going to start using it as soon as it's made available to everyone, this is a way to turn their phone into an excellent dedicated handheld to play Xbox games on the go. Now, if you're hearing me say xCloud, you don't know what that is. Basically, xCloud is a service that Xbox has that lets people play major Xbox games, but streams it to other devices like portable phones. And so this gives you a kind of traditional at-home console experience, graphics and everything, but in a little tiny handheld. And with the Jungle Cat in particular, it turns your phone into being something that's a lot more like a familiar handheld gaming device and just feels a lot more comfortable to use. There are other more conventional options out there people are familiar with, like having just an Xbox controller with a clip. That works fine, but just having something that turns it into an actual handheld looking device makes it, in my opinion, a much better experience. As for the number one option for gaming adjacent gifts, it's actually kind of a broad category I'm going to talk about, but with a few really cool specific examples, and that is toys and collectibles. This is an industry that's been blowing up really big the last few years. There are so many different major collectibles out there, whether we're talking about Pops or Pixel Pals, but even things like just actual straight up action figures. For instance, again, Gears 5, one of the biggest Microsoft games this year, you can get a Marcus Phoenix action figure. Or if you want to go really all out, one of the bigger ones that we've actually shown off a couple times, just a full-blown Lancer replica that you can grab. Now this is the Gold Lancer design, which has been available for a couple years. PDP, the company that makes this, has also released a new Crimson Lancer to celebrate Gears 5, which is honestly, I think, even cooler looking. I just can't justify to myself having multiple Lancer replicas. But the point is, there are a couple options out there you can grab that all look amazing and can definitely be an awesome surprise gift that I think a lot of people don't necessarily always think of grabbing first when it comes to gaming gifts. Again, Gears 5 is the big game this year, so there are a lot of products coming out for that, but if there's another game you know people love, just kind of think about that as an alternative option. Look for things like replicas and collectible figures. We'll list a few other popular options down below alongside with this gigantic, amazing thing. Now I realize some of the stuff on this list can get pretty pricey, so if you're just looking for something that's more of a stocking stuffer or just like a smaller gift to grab, some really good pickups you can do. There's thumbstick grips like from Control Freak, which just improves the ability to give a little more maneuverability and grip to thumbsticks, great for FPS games. There's controller stands, kind of like the ones we mentioned earlier that were used for charging, but they have ones that are just meant for straight up display, so if you just want a nice way of a place to put your controller down and maybe make a nice little combo, you can grab one of those. There's also some great older games on the Xbox that are currently on sale that if you haven't grabbed before, you can also pick up. Obviously, there was Black Friday and Cyber Monday deals, but there's more going on, like grabbing Forza Horizon 4, one of the best racing games on the system, for just 25 bucks, and Assassin's Creed Odyssey, one of the big hits of last year, is going for 33. Also, while it isn't actually super cheap, but while we're talking about deals, if you've been waiting on getting an Xbox One X, there is still a great bundle going on right now where for $350 you get an Xbox One X, along with some of the biggest hits of this year, including Jedi Fallen Order.